RSAC 2026. It's currently underway at the Moscone Center in San Francisco, and of course, the Thales Security Sessions podcast is right in the middle of it. With more than 45,000 attendees expected, almost 700 vendors and exhibitors, and more than 500 sessions, it is, as always, the largest annual cybersecurity gathering in the world. This year's theme is The Power of Community. We have sent Liz Kelly, co-producer of the Thales Security Sessions podcast, out on the floor to capture some on-the-spot commentary from industry insiders, visitors, and of course, some of our favorite Thales colleagues. I'm Steve Prentice with Liz Kelly, and this is the Thales Security Sessions podcast.
I'm live on the show floor here at RSA Conference with Jay Thurston, Field CISO at Thales. Jay, given the increasing volume and sophistication of threats we're seeing today, especially AI-enabled ones, how are data security solutions adapting to provide real-time insights without overwhelming security teams?
I think one of the things that we're seeing more and more lately is that the GRC teams are getting more involved and the more integration there with those who actually do the monitoring of the data that's going in and out. And the reason I think that helps is because it's no longer that gap between the GRC teams writing the rules and only being followed by technology when it stops it. So that integration really starts to help kind of everyone be on the same page and everyone kind of knows what to do with this new data that we have to manage today.
And effective data governance is the foundation of AI governance. However, we're witnessing a worrying data governance gap, a lack of data visibility and encryption across the ecosystem. What are the key reasons for these gaps and how can we resolve them?
Yeah, I think my answer would be unstructured data because you've got so much user ability to take data and utilize it in their own AI tools that are unrestricted by so many companies today. And I think that's where the governance is really going to have to start, which is making sure the users are not only educated, but you are going to have to kind of govern what tools and what data sets they have. But I think that's where the gap is.
And how do you see data security architectures, e.g. encryption, tokenization, data loss prevention, evolving to support hybrid multi-cloud environments while ensuring regulatory readiness?
Well, thankfully, what I'm seeing now, especially with the post-quantum HSM devices that we've created, is speed is no longer a problem. You will always get database teams, database administrators worrying about, well, what about the speed of the data being able to get back to my consumers? And right now, with what we've developed, that speed question is really gone, right? We're able to encrypt at such a scale and to be post-quantum compliant, and yet it'd be completely transparent to the user on the application side. So that's where I think we're helping.
And RSA Conference this year are highlighting identity as edge and community cooperation. So what innovations in data security do you think will benefit most from industry-wide threat sharing or collaborative analytics platforms?
That is the tough one, but I do think applying a little bit more in the way of tools to help, even when data is encrypted, to understand what kind of data is in there. So something that would take a look at the metadata so that the SOC teams and that the data analytics teams understand where that data is going. Because again, we go back up to one of the other questions of, you have users that are utilizing data sets and we don't know what they're doing with it at all times after they put it through AI. So even if it is encrypted data, we want to make sure that we understand where it goes, where it changed, and I think I see a lot of that here at RSA. A lot of companies are really focused on that edge part of the data, what happens to the data after it gets to the user.
Jay, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We're back on the show floor, and it's my absolute pleasure to be joined by Marco Venuti from Thales. So, Marco, this year RSA Conference continues to spotlight identity-first security, passwordless adoption, and governance challenges. So what real-world barriers do you still see holding organisations back from deploying passwordless and adaptive identity, and how might the conversations at RSA help shift this enterprise decision-making?
Well, thanks for the question. I'm glad to be part of this conversation. Well, indeed, it's always a pleasure to be at RSA, and indeed, identity-first security has been with us for a number of years now. I also still hear identity is the new perimeter. This new perimeter has been new for maybe the last 10 years. And by the way, I find the analogy a bit claustrophobic. Identity is not the perimeter, it's maybe the entire volume of what needs to be protected. So what is holding off an organization to move forward? I believe that there is no shortage, and this is a clear demonstration of great solution for all domains of identity, authentication, authorization, consent, you name it, IGA. We are among them. We are actually outstanding, one of them, probably the best in multiple of those domains. But the new challenge is more about harmonizing those components, bringing them together in a sustainable fashion, allowing customers to reduce their vendor lock-in while still enjoying the best fit solution for their specific needs. This is still, in my opinion, underrepresented, is among the most interesting conversation that any organization should now elevate their attention level to. That's my short and sweet version of what I take away of RSA.
Thank you so much. John Ravshende is Global CTO of Data and AI at Thales. John Rav, given the increasing volume and sophistication of threats, especially AI-enabled ones, how are data security solutions adapting to provide real-time insights without overwhelming security teams?
It's something we have to think about, very carefully. When we think about the threats, especially AI-enabled ones, anything that's AI-enabled is moving at what we call the speed of machine. Not speed of light, thankfully, but machine speed is still that much faster than humans can basically acknowledge, adapt, and react to it. So when we think about data security solutions, the key thing about data security solutions is knowing, one, obviously where our data resides, but also knowing the risk associated with that data. So we think about things like data security. Data security posture management is something that when we think about data security and we think about posture and we think about management, what we mean is we need to know what is the current state of a piece of data in our environment, wherever it is. But that also has to be tied to data insights as well as data discovery. Now, once we know what and where data resides, what's the risk to that data, then we can create a posture for that data, risk posture. And upon creating that risk posture, now we know we can manage that risk. Now, and that's really a good baseline. Now put AI on that, now we have data security posture management at the speed of machines, means that now we can critically assess risk to an environment in near real time and thus take the remediative action based on a risk score that's compiled, managed, generated by AI, which moves that much faster than current systems we see right now. Thus, we can react more constructively, positively, and we can react faster to threats within our environment using something like an AI data security posture management tool that we at Thales have.
It's amazing. Thank you so much. Andy Zollo, SVP of the APJ region. From your vantage point, what are the most pressing concerns that your customers in the region are expressing right now, and how are you translating those concerns into actionable sales and support strategies?
So first of all, I'd say the RSA show, really important for the APJ region. So we have a lot of customers come over here, basically on their voyage of discovery to see what we're doing lately, for example. But I think the two key things that are coming up, no great shot, AI, PQC. And I would say in particular on PQC, they want to understand what we're doing, what other people are doing to help them on their journey. So having a lot of discussions, a lot of follow-ups with that. It's generally culminating in, we're going to go back to the region, getting the whiteboards out, sitting down with them, talking about how we can help them on their journey, whether that's part of the CSP organization or our brethren in CPS. So that's one thing. The other thing is AI, obviously. I think people are far more advanced in that journey. They're in the implementation stage. So it very much is, how do we help them protect their AI models, their LLMs, for example. And again, with the launch of the AI firewall and the early release program, again, we're turning a lot of those on to customers that are here today, again, to help them in their journey on AI. So those are the two key things, whether that's RSA or just back in APJ, they're the two key topics we're getting all the time.
Tim Chang from Thales. One of the biggest RSAC themes this year is how AI is reshaping cybersecurity. It's been the talk of the show floor. From your vantage point, how is AI transforming the way applications are built and simultaneously changing the techniques that attackers are using against them?
Right. So AI has certainly transformed how software is developed. There's so many Copilot coding tools and now vibe coding systems that it's really great. You can now develop a lot of software in a short amount of time, but that's also accelerated the amount of vulnerabilities that are just out in the wild and now in the software, and actually AI is finding these vulnerabilities much faster and easier, right? So it's one of those like good news, bad news type of things. AI is great for software development, but it's also accelerating a lot of the threats that we see out there today.
And we're also spotlighting the power of community here. So how do you see the global security community collaborating more effectively to defend against applications and APIs, especially as automation and AI accelerate both innovation and attack velocity?
Yeah, standards are going to be really important here. And there's already a community of application security specialists that are looking at standards for protecting LLMs or agentic types of threats. And this is called the OWASP community. But there are also other communities that are defining how agents will communicate with each other, what agentic commerce will look like. So all these initiatives are really important. And eventually, things are still evolving, but eventually the standards and frameworks will really help organizations manage risk from these kind of new threats that we see.
And another major topic that we're hearing a lot about on the show floor is the rise of AI agents and autonomous bots. And as these systems interact with applications at a massive scale, how's the bot landscape evolving and what new types of risks are you seeing come out and emerge?
Yeah, the bot landscape it changes almost every day. And now bots really are like users and they behave just like humans do. So traditional detection methods are increasingly becoming more inefficient. And AI, which is creating a lot of these bots, is really lowering the bar to launch massive, large-scale, sophisticated types of bot attacks. And then lastly, bots are actually leveraging now APIs. And APIs are the way to connect machines to machines, to users to applications, and it's how we actually buy things online. So in the near future, where we're using bots to do a lot of our shopping, we really have to be careful because, a Lamborghini could show up your door and you don't know about it. So all of this is now becoming very interesting where, we're now giving the permissions to bots to do a lot of things on our behalf. And that's when, I think the risk really will become more elevated.
And there's also a lot of discussion about trust in autonomous systems. And from your perspective, what technical, ethical, or governance foundations need to be in place before organizations can really safely rely on AI to make decisions and take action on their behalf?
Right. There's always this old adage of like trust but verify. And I think that is really true in today's world where organizations, they need to verify every moment of interaction. And it's not enough to just trust that the access that you're giving is good enough, right? You really need to verify the activity. And then also guardrails need to be built in from day one in terms of these AI systems and not just bolted on at the end, but really built in from the start. And lastly, transparency. I think as organizations get better visibility into what these autonomous systems are doing, then they'll be able to trust the systems are doing, what's necessary.
And looking forward, we've heard a lot of RSA Conference attendees talking about the shift towards machine-to-machine traffic. And as applications see more interaction from services, bots and AI agents than from human users, what does that really mean for security strategy and the future of digital trust?
Right. It's no surprise that the machine-to-machine topic is like a hot topic at RSA because the machine-to-machine traffic actually dominates most of the internet traffic today, where a lot of the interactions we have are just autonomous and not human driven. So what that means is the APIs that connects all of these machines together, API security actually becomes really important to understand the risks that are hidden in these APIs. And then lastly, I believe identity actually has a bigger seat at the table now, where we must continuously evaluate the identity of these interactions. And if we're able to do that, then it really elevates our application security and data security posture.
And finally, in your role, you're shaping how our customers protect their applications at a massive scale. So coming into RSA 2026, what strategic priorities are top of mind for you, and how are the conversations that you're having here at the show influencing the direction of the Thales Application Security Roadmap?
Right. At RSA, we just announced Imperva Anywhere, and Imperva is the application security product suite at Thales. And this Imperva Anywhere is really enabling customers to deploy AppSec at scale. So if you have a multi-cloud environment, or you have a distributed environment, or if you need application security at the edge down to a container, with our new offering, you'll be able to deploy Imperva really anywhere and have that centralized visibility but decentralized control, which is what a lot of customers are looking for in this age of AI, sovereignty, operational resilience. And so the answer is Imperva Anywhere.
Tim, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
We're back live at RSA, and I'm delighted to be joined by friend of the Security Sessions podcast, David Holmes, CTO of Application Security. David, thanks for joining us. So AI is reshaping both attacks and defences. What are the biggest security challenges when integrating generative agentic AI with application development life cycles?
Hey, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me. That's a great question, and I've met with several other vendors and partners, et cetera, and the difference in their world between a year ago, between RSA 1 year ago, and now is just stunning. And so people who are in the field where they're doing things like code scanning, I don't want to say they're like full-on panicking, but that, like the release of some of the AI code review tools, is changing the landscape very quickly. Now, if you even think a little bit forward, like, oh, is anybody going to even want to review the output of these things if no one's writing the code? Like, there are people here talking about, well, yeah, code will all be written and reviewed by AIs in a year. I'm not saying I believe that, but it makes me feel, so in the business that I am in, which is the post-production application security, right, the web application firewall, et cetera, API security, we sit on the production boundary. It makes me wonder today if that's only going to become more important, because people won't be writing the code, but you still need to make sure that it's not susceptible to SQL injections and all the other stuff. So it's been a bit of an eye-opening experience, and I haven't fully processed it yet, but that's where my head is at.
And have you seen any specific community-driven or open standards communities highlighted at RSAC that you believe will improve the state of application security in the next maybe 12 to 18 months?
Short answer, I haven't seen anything new. However, and this is something we've been looking at for a while, which is if you are going to, as this agentic world evolves, one would think that people would need like a new policy language to describe what are the authorizations that something that is an agent, which is neither human and it's also not non-human because that's its own thing. So we have been looking for where is the standard for that, and everybody I talked to said there is none. Now I know there's some working groups and we've been part of those, but I don't think they've either stalled or not gone anywhere or they're not done yet. But somebody did say, hey, everyone appears to be falling back on Spiffy and some of the other like microservices identities and API endpoint identities, and that's what they're using right now. To me, it doesn't seem like that's enough, but I'm also not shocked that at the breakneck speed that people are developing all this stuff, they probably don't want any guardrails. I know that sounds super cynical, and maybe those kind of open standards and identities won't appear. Well, you know what? We'll check next year at RSA. How's that?
Sounds good to me. Thanks so much for joining us. Martin Stulgens, VP of IAM Business Acceleration at Thales. Here we are, RSA Conference, world's biggest cybersecurity event. What are we hearing on the show floor about identity?
Well, we see, of course, many organizations presenting their solutions here, coming from hardcore security, now entering into data security, application security. My background is, of course, identity. And what we're really seeing this year is that identity, data and application security are coming together, especially driven by agentic AI. I think that is a big driver. Even in Thales, we were playing in all these three areas, and we've done that pretty much in isolation. Every part of our organization went separately to the market and provided solutions to clients. But especially what we now see with agentic AI, these parts are coming together. So customers are looking for comprehensive solutions. I don't think that the market is ready at this moment for comprehensive solutions yet, because the market is shaping up, the customer questions are shaping up. So we're in a learning phase as an industry, and we'll see in the next years what kind of products are coming out of it.
I'm delighted to be joined by friend of the Security Sessions podcast, FC. Great to see you.
Hi, great to see you too.
So we've heard a lot this year about the theme, the power of community, and we always say that cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. But from what you've heard, what's the best approach to elevate the power of community in the cybersecurity industry?
I think the first thing that most people can do is kind of like reach out to companies like yourselves, right? Because everyone wants to benchmark themselves against something, and the best way to do that is find out what your peers are doing, right? If you know what your peers are doing, you can work out if you're in front of them or behind them, and mostly you'll probably be behind them because they're doing something that you're not. So I think doing outreach to universities and schools, very powerful because it gets people involved in the community. I think they're like the big ones, the first ones to take the step with.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great to see you.
Oh, likewise.
Patrick Shah from Thales. I wanted to ask you, we're hearing a lot about DSPM at the RSA show floor. So what makes Thales different when it comes to DSPM?
DSPM, the way we think about it, is almost a framework. And the way most DSPM vendors are going about it is by scanning the posture and doing discovery and doing static analysis of where your data is, what is at risk. What we feel is it's good first step, but we need to go further because we also want to incorporate not just who can access it, but who's actually accessing the data, how are they accessing it, and incorporate that into the risk picture. You take that, and what we want to do with it is integrate remediation into the same platform by tokenization, encryption, something we have done for so many years. So DSPM is a passive posture-based security method. What we want to do is DSPM plus, so to speak.
Rohit Kumar, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Thales, looking after API security. Rohit, agentic AI, how is it really affecting APIs today?
Thank you, Liz. Glad to be on your podcast. I would actually start with saying that a couple of years back, it was very difficult to find an API. The reason being because only a few people in the company knew where they were, tribal knowledge, hard to discover. It would take a lot of time and effort to re-engineer an API to find where they lie. But that friction, AI removes it completely. And this is exactly where I think APIs now become more vulnerable to AI agents. We at Thales do not believe that you really need to have a parallel deployment or a bolt-on solution to protect your AI agents or AI models, right? You protect the beneath data and APIs that these models get trained on. So we actually would be working on the very much foundation to secure the whole model, rather than just bolting on a new solution or placing a new sidecar. And it doesn't matter where they live. They are exposed to internet, they are on-prem, they are part of the cloud-native microservices. We have a security engine which is way too intelligent, and it has a lot of context and scale to where these APIs lie, and it has very much context to the protocol they use. So our security engine speaks the same language as these AI agents do. So it's very easy to find them, detect them, and everything starts with discovery. If you don't see them, you won't be able to protect them, enforce the policy, and a security engine which has a lot of awareness around the protocol is the way to go. That's how I see it.
Okay, I'm live on the show floor with Bassam Al-Khalidi from Axiad. So, Bassam, really interested to know, Thales and Axiad are partners. How is our partnership affecting customers and helping them with their challenges?
The partnership is really exciting for both our organizations because what we bring is something unique to the market. Thales has amazing crypto devices, especially when it comes to authentication and for end-user authentication. And the fact that these devices are not just are crypto capable, but also Thales is looking towards the future and ensuring that they're post-quantum ready. So what that does with Axia's software capability to manage the lifecycle of these tokens at scale, now the combined offering brings a turnkey solution to organizations that want a solution that meets the threats and needs and demands of today, which is phishing-resistant authentication and strong authentication, passwordless authentication. There's a lot of terms for it, but most importantly, it looks forward towards the future of combating the new threats that have come down, which are related to post-quantum. So the combined solution today has the capability of meeting those, which means you do it once, you do it right, and you don't have to rip and replace and do it again in the next 2-3 years.
Krishna from Thales, VP Product Marketing. DSPM, getting a lot of attention at RSA Conference this year. Organisations still struggling to understand where their sensitive data actually lives across cloud and AI environments. So from your perspective, how is DSPM evolving? How do you see it integrating with encryption, key management and sovereignty requirements?
Yeah, hey, that's a great question. Let's talk about, one of the things that you mentioned there, you said AI. So DSPM has been around. It's been a term that has been used for people to actually find out about the status of their data, the posture of their data. It stands for Data Security Posture Management. AI has really supercharged it because people are creating lots of data, they're touching a lot of data to get lots of insights, and DSPM has added this layer of value on top of their regular data security products in terms of helping people find out where their data is, where all of this data is getting created, more importantly, what kind of data is it, how sensitive it is, and then apply the right remediations for it, which was sort of the second part of your question. And that second part is really very important because I think a lot of people who have been in the traditional DSPM space are very good at finding out where your data is, finding out what kind of data is it, how sensitive it is. Thales has been doing that with our data security platforms for a while. But the very important piece that is almost as important in finding out where your data is and what it is what do you do once you find that out? And that's where we come in. So we've been a deep data security platform player for a very long time. We know a lot about how to protect your data. And there are so many ways of doing it. Either you encrypt it, or tokenize it, or mask it. And more important than that is the keys that you use to actually manage all of that. So we're very good at actually both doing the protection and then managing the keys that go with it, right? So that is the remediation piece, which I think is very, very important. And I think a lot of DSPM players will come around to it. But we are already there. And that's why not only are you hearing about it at RSA, our booth is like teeming with people wanting to find out what we're talking about. And we're talking about this broad, complete DSPM story, which is about discovering where your data is, analyzing its posture in a sense, protecting it in terms of whichever way you need to do it or not, and then adding controls on it in terms of actually finding out. So that's sort of the whole picture, and that's what's going on here at RSA, at our booth at least.
I'm excited to be joined by Kareem Shalawati, Technical Product Marketing Manager at Thales. So, Kareem, one of the biggest RSA themes this year is the way that AI is reshaping cybersecurity. So, how is AI transforming the way that applications are built and changing the techniques that attackers are using against them?
That's a great question. And yeah, the theme here, the biggest one, is AI and AI agents everywhere. And cybersecurity has so many forms here, and it's really hard to choose from. But how does AI shapes it is how we think about how it intrudes into our daily lives. And Imperva does it excellently. And in my particular role as a technical product marketing manager creating demos, I'm trying to find ways so we can differentiate ourselves from the competition to show how we use the AI power to protect them from the AI threats out there.
Great. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So there you have a snapshot of the state of data, technology, and of course AI from experts on the floor at RSAC 2026. Links to profiles of the people interviewed today are available in the show notes. And remember, if you like what you hear, not just our on-the-floor reports, but also our more structured interviews, be sure to subscribe and tell a friend about the Thales Security Sessions podcast. Not just for the next one, but for our archive of highly useful and still relevant past conversations. So we will be back again very soon with another episode and further discussions on the topics that you need to know about to successfully carry on in the business of information security. Until then, on behalf of Liz Kelly, I'm Steve Prentice. Thanks for listening.